let's talk resources for the Pacific Crest Trail. So I did about 9 months of research just to know what I'm getting myself into with this through hike. And I have a list of, well, one podcast, 4 books, and then many, many websites that really helped me understand what I was getting into and was very informational. So if I look down a lot, it's because I have my computer right here. I just don't want to forget anything. So let's start with podcasts. So when I was kind of toying with the idea of doing this through hike, I started listening to a podcast called Sounds of the Trail. It's really great, and I have to warn you, if you do listen to this podcast, it might hook you, which it hooked me. And so after I listened to it, there's two full seasons and one season that unfortunately cut off. I'm not sure if the founder of the podcast had other things going on in her life or what, but unfortunately it ended on season 3, but the first 2 seasons are really, really amazing. And what it is a podcast about people actually on the Pacific Crest Trail, the Appalachian Trail, and the Continental Divide Trail. So they have trail correspondents that are checking in as they're hiking, which is so amazing. It gives you a real look at who is on these trails, the highs and the lows, and gear insight. So really, really amazing podcast. I recommend it. Moving on to books. So this book has been my favorite, Pacific Crest Trail. So sorry about the glare. It goes over not just gear, it does have a gear section in the back, but it goes over like a psychological and mental look of what this through hike entails. And it gives you a lot of great exercises to go through, like, okay, list why you are doing this. So I think it really sets mentally you up for success with hiking this trail. So really, number 1, recommend this book. If you don't read any other book, read this one. Second book, I won't go into this in too much detail because I'm going to post separately about female-specific hiking. So this is a Woman's Guide to the Wild, and this is also a really great book, women-specific. And it just goes over female-specific things while hiking, like how to pee and what to do about your period and that sort of thing. So that will be a separate post. I'll go over this more in detail, but if you are a female hiker, it also goes over solo hiking and that sort of thing. So if you're a female hiker, definitely recommend this. Third book, I had a really great experience with a group called Women Who Hike, and about a year ago, actually, we did a hike on the Pacific Crest Trail, just a portion of it. And a woman named Shantae Salbert was there, and she has section hiked the Pacific Crest Trail, namely in the Southern California section up to like Tuolumne Meadows. So this book is really great. I bought this from her. She was amazing. It's just hiking the Pacific Crest Trail, and it's more section hike based, which is really great if you don't have the time to take 5 months to hike the whole trail. If you want to section hike it, this is a really, really great resource for you. It goes over all the permits that you need in specific sections. So if you don't hike more than 500 miles on the Pacific Crest Trail, you have to get a bunch of different permits for different sections of land. So this really makes that easier. It also goes over just gear and safety, which is really great. Mountain lions, bears, covers all of that. Clothing, and then you can see, this is the best book I've read with pictures. So you can see all the different pictures along the way, and it is by section as well, which is really, really great. So anyway, definitely recommend this book too. Okay, last book. I actually didn't read this book. I bought it, but I haven't had time to read it because I've been reading some other things. But Through Hiking Will Break Your Heart, my backpacking partner read this, and she said this is when she decided, or was one of the reasons why she decided to do this hike. So I am really, really excited to read this. And if you are thinking about hiking the Pacific Crest Trail, my backpacking partner really recommends it. Okay, so moving on to websites. Here is the big portion of the research that I did. So The first website obviously is going to be the Pacific Crest Trail Association website. So this is where you go to get your permit, which it's like a lottery, I guess a lottery system where you put your name in and you get a random number after that, and then you can bid for your date. So there's 2 different times you can do that. I think one's in December and then one's in January. So they open up about 15 more spots a day in January for a total of 50 people a day. So this is a very great resource. If you want to hike the Pacific Crest Trail 500 miles or more, this is where you go to sign up for that. It also has all of the other permits you need and information on getting into Canada, your Canada entry permit. So this is like a really great base. So if I would go to any website, I would go to this one because it has pretty much an overview of all the information and it's where you need to go to get all of your important documents. Halfway Anywhere is a blog, and he has the blogger has a PCT survey every year. So after hikers finish the Pacific Crest Trail, he sends them, I'm not really sure how it works, but they fill out a survey somehow, and there's a bunch of information about gear, the best gear that was used, the worst gear. It's very gear based, but it has information on places like the best resupply spots, the worst resupply spots. So anyway, I found this really, really helpful, especially for acquiring my gear. Like, what should I get? I have no idea. So this is a great place to start because this is a survey with PCT hikers that actually have done it's a mix. So some of them have done the whole trail and some of them have done part of the trail, but it specifies that as well. Like the people who finished the trail, here's what they used. And then people who didn't, here's what they used. Base weight is a big one too. So anyway, it's just a really, really great resource and I used it a lot. And by the way, there's a lot of websites that I'm going to mention. I have everything linked down in the section below this video. So I have everything I'm gonna cover down there, so you can just click the link. Craig's PCT Planner. So this is a really great resource because you have to create a profile. Well, actually, I don't know if you have to create a profile, but to save, I think you have to create a profile, which is no big deal. And you pretty much map out the whole PCT based on so many different variables. So how fast you're hiking, like 2.5 miles an hour or whatever. You can set so many different settings and see the whole mapped out PCT in one website. So that's a really great resource too. I used it just to get a general plan of resupply and like how many days I'm gonna go in between resupplying, what towns we're gonna go into. It's pretty high tech, I think, where like, let's say there's a section where you're gaining a lot in elevation, so it will automatically add time in for that too. So anyway, if you're gonna even if you're in a section hike, it's also a great resource. So I recommend that just to get, if you're a planner, if you have a time constraint like my backpacking partner and I do, it's really great to kind of get a general idea of, can we do this in 5 months? But if you're not a planner, then maybe you can skip this one. But it's good to have a general plan. I know a lot of that will go out of the window probably, but we can just adjust as needed. It's just nice to have a general idea of what's to come. Okay, navigation. So the way I'm gonna navigate the trail is with an app called Guthooks Guide. And so I've downloaded the app and I've kind of dabbled with it. I'm gonna do more of that today to get more acquainted, but this is what I believe most Pacific Crest Trail hikers use to navigate the trail. You just need to make sure you have a really good charger, because if your phone is your main navigation tool, you have to keep that thing charged, obviously. So I made sure to get a really good charger. But Guthooks Guide for navigation, check that out. It's from what I've seen, it's really, really great. They even have, not that it's 100% guaranteed, but where water is, best places to go in town. So a lot of information, not just about the actual trail navigating, but when you're in town, where to send your resupply and that sort of thing, the hours of the post office and all of that. So if you are thinking about hiking the Pacific Crest Trail and you want to use an actual map, there are free maps online. So I have linked that below. It just says PCT Maps and then free, because they're free online. So something that when you're hiking the PCT you need to be aware of are closures, especially when the weather is bad or there's a fire or something. So there is a website for closures on the PCT, so also linked below. And then I have other random things that I've linked, like Gear List from REI, how to go ultralight. I am going stoveless personally, so if anybody else is interested in that, I found a couple good websites for just like an intro to going stoveless and cold soaking. So that's also linked below. And then also two things that I think are at least important to me is I took a NOLS wilderness medicine class, and I did it through REI, but it's really through NOLS. So you can sign up for that if you're interested in looking into wilderness medicine. And you know, if somebody's in need on the trail, it's really, at least for me, empowering to know that I can help people if they're in need, if they're hurt or going into shock. I can hopefully take care of that with my training through the wilderness medicine class. So that's also linked below. And last thing, I haven't actually called to get this insurance yet, but I've done some research, and travel insurance, specifically this is World Nomads travel insurance, covers a lot of different things, not like routine checkups, because I'm not going to be doing that on the trail, but anything emergency related, from what I understand, they'll cover. And they also cover, I think, depending on your coverage, how much you want to pay, up to, at least the one I'm thinking about getting is $1,000 worth of gear if your gear is stolen. So that kind of gives me some peace of mind as I'm traveling. So anyway, those are my favorite resources for looking into hiking the PCT. Found them really, really helpful, and everything is linked below, so check them out if you're thinking about hiking.